The Arizona Athletic Grounds in the Far East Valley is a massive sports complex visited by millions of people every year. If you have kids or grandkids in sports, chances are you've been there. But last week, one of the park's founders went to prison for fraud committed while building that facility. And the other founder will soon be behind bars as well. Both men admitted to crimes they committed as they grew desperate to build their dream.
I understand how people feel about this, but I can tell you, nobody cared about this project more than we did.
It was a project that started with big dreams. The building of then Bell Bank Park in Mesa, one of the biggest youth sports facilities in the country. But it came crashing down in a cloud of financial scandal, unpaid bills, and eventually prison sentences for the founders, Larry and Chad Miller. Chad agreed to an interview with 12 News shortly before beginning his 5-year sentence for fraud.
To not only be the face of its failure or its demise is beyond crushing. This was not just a project to us. This was 30 years of a vision.
Federal authorities say the Millers went too far to see that vision through. The park was built using $280 million that was raised from investors. The investors were shown letters from dozens of youth sports organizations who were committed to using the park's fields, gyms, and courts. That's the revenue that would be needed to pay the construction costs back. The problem, many of those letters were fake. Signatures were forged. And when the park declared bankruptcy, investors lost nearly everything. Larry and Chad Miller pled guilty to fraud.
Now, did we make mistakes? Absolutely.
And a lot of people lost a lot of money because of those mistakes. I mean, you do understand that.
No, absolutely. I do understand that. But I don't believe it's right to lay that at our feet, because at the end of the day,
whose feet are you going to lay it on?
There's a multitude of organizations to lay the feet on. Let's start with the investment bank, with the GMP. Let's talk with the operating line.
But they would say that they were given false information by you.
The Millers have now petitioned President Trump for a pardon. The brand new sports park hosted the then former president for a Kari Lake gubernatorial rally back in 2022. There's been no word on the status of any pardon. Chad, meantime, turned himself into the federal prison camp in Tucson last week to begin his 5-year sentence. He spoke about telling his children the news.
I'm a single dad, divorced single dad with 2 small children, 4 and 8. And the thought of having to tell my kids, after I've lost everything and gone through the devastation that I've gone through, that Daddy's going to have to leave for a while.
Chad's 70-year-old father, Larry, could begin his 6-year sentence sometime this week. After the park went into bankruptcy, it sold for only 10% of its debt, and today the park is open and thriving. About 2.5 million people visit it every single year.